Hub Radio Phoenix is an internet-based podcast platform providing numerous special interest programs reaching over 100,000 viewers per week. Hi, I'm Ron Ludders, executive producer of Hub Radio Phoenix. We don't pretend to be journalists, but we're not afraid to say what's on our minds. We thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing to Hub Radio Phoenix. Stay tuned, stay faithful, as the best is yet to come.
Fighting Back. Current events, news talk, and political commentary. Now here's your host, Ron Ludders.
Woohoo!
Oh, what was that?
All
Hey,
right.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday night in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's cloudy, and we may get some rain. I don't know if that's
Maybe.
true.
We may.
We may. They said it would rain all day, and it hasn't yet, and it's already 7 o'clock p.m.
Yeah, but you know what? At what percentage of time are the weathermen correct?
About 99% of the time when they say it's going to be hot and sunny.
Exactly.
But the minute they say rain, they're almost always wrong.
This is the only place that can threaten rain for like
That's
6
true.
months and never even
Ladies
drizzle.
and gentlemen, welcome to the show tonight, and we have a big favor of you. We would like you to pass this show on to others. We would like you to share it, and we would like you to subscribe to this, okay? It's really important. We need to get those numbers up because America is in trouble. The flag should be flying upside down by now, and with the stars and stripes, the stars down at the bottom, Ray, and
Distress.
because we are really under distress. This administration has been the most god-awful administration, I think, in the history of, at least in my life, and on probably the history of the country. I mean, when you see what this president and this administration has done this last week with these people in Afghanistan, we're going to get into that. But I just want you to know how mad I am. And we have called, over 2 weeks ago, we have called for the Pino, the president in name only, to resign or to, I think, the 25th Amendment to show that he's mentally not capable to be the president. And I don't think there's anybody now in this country that could say the man is capable of good.
He could.
So, he could.
Yeah, and maybe his wife.
But I don't think he could spell acuity.
Maybe Hunter.
Can you spell acuity?
Acuity?
Yeah. Mental acuity. Wow, I read that somewhere,
What is it?
so I thought I'd use it on the show just to show everybody
ACU.
that I was educated. We're here tonight with Mr. Ray Michaels.
Hello, everyone.
And of course, it's Wednesday. And if it's Wednesday, it's Josh Bernstein.
From JoshBernsteinUncensored.com.
Thank
This
you
is a
very
paid
much.
political
Appreciate
enough.
that.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Josh. You
Yes.
had a great segment that I just saw this morning. That was pretty amazing.
You're talking about the progressives euthanizing terrified animals?
Yes, otherwise known as PETA. PETA?
That's right.
I always
That's
thought
right.
it was people for the ethnical treatment of animals.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is not an organization that cares for animals. It is run by a far left, wacko, liberal Ingrid Newkirk, 72 years old, British woman. And they say point blank that they are not a shelter. They are not for animal rights or anything, as far as having them live. And they just systematically slaughter animals.
Well,
And it's really sick, and I did a full expose on it on the website.
And it was dynamic. And, they believe that it's the best for the animal to be euthanized. That's what they feel. So if you love animals, really look deep into PETA because
Didn't Hitler used to say that about the Jews as well?
it's the best thing for them just to end it right here. We don't want them to suffer. We don't want them to suffer, so it's better just to end their life.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking kill rates of 85, 90% in some of their locations.
Josh, when you showed that video footage on that,
Yeah.
and really go to JoshBernsteinUncensored.com and subscribe there because you're going to get some information you don't see anywhere else. But they were showing that they were euthanizing these animals, all right? Whether you believe that that's good or bad, but then they put them all in plastic bags.
It's horrible.
And they took them to the back of a supermarket and just discarded them there.
That's correct. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They bought a big giant freezer for $9,000 and they would stuff this thing with the corpses of these poor animals. And most of these animals were adoptable. They were sweet. They were healthy. There was no problem with them, and they just systematically murdered them. It's just absolutely sickening.
That freezer. So people are donating. They're thinking that PETA's helping these animals. They're donating money to buy this big, would you say, $9,000 freezer. Now, at the same time, they were giving away turkeys.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, they were giving away turkeys to their biggest donors. But get this, they were storing the turkeys in the same freezer that they were storing the remains of these poor
Do you
animals.
think they ever got them confused? Like
I don't
which one
know.
was which? And
don't know.
aren't turkeys?
I think half the audience right now is probably throwing
Yeah,
up.
I was going to say,
So-
I'm about ready to.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's just stuff that
Thank
you
you.
need to know.
It's tough.
When
It
we
is
fight
tough.
back, it's fighting back about everything
Everybody,
that is
yeah.
out there.
And
So
PETA is not a good organization.
No, it
in
is
my
not.
opinion. Tell you what, let's move on to something that is equally less.
you didn't want to go
less
there to
pleasant.
begin with.
No, because I'm an animal.
No,
guy.
but
I
you know
love
what?
animals.
When Josh comes out with something like this on Josh Bernstein Uncensored.com, you need to see it. You need to see what's going on. So we're fighting back.
So, at any rate, equally as disgusting are some things that have happened in this past week with this administration, if you can even call it that. It's, I think even high school children could run an operation much more effective than Biden and company are running the United States government. Josh, I know
Yeah.
you're always ready to go. You are locked and loaded, so let her go.
Oh, boy. How much do Democrats absolutely hate and detest Americans, especially those stuck in Talibanistan? How about the fact that they blocked legislation that would have rescued Americans stranded by the Biden totalitarian dictatorship? That's right, you heard that correctly. House Democrats led by Nancy Pelosi blocked Representative Mike Gallagher's bill that would have required the Biden administration to rescue Americans from Talibanistan. The bill would have required them to rescue those Americans within 30 days, request an accounting of all equipment and weapons left behind, establish that Congress will not recognize the Taliban as the official government of Afghanistan, and ban any sanction relief against the Taliban. So by blocking this legislation, understand that Democrats are now on record for letting Americans die overseas. No problem there. They probably want to relieve sanctions because they want to appease their terrorist buddies. And then, of course, they don't want to have an accountability of how much equipment and weapons were left in Afghanistan, because they don't want to be embarrassed, because it is absolutely the spoils and riches. They are now the 14th largest military in the entire world overnight because of this. And it just gets worse and worse from there.
I think we have a graphic on
We
that.
do.
Could we pull up that graphic, Mr. DeSante, about how
Because
much
if you-
equipment had been
Yeah,
left
if
behind?
you're uncertain about what was left there, let's just take just a quick look over
Wow.
here. So here's what the Taliban has received from taxpayer-funded equipment.
We just call it a donation from Americans.
Yeah. So take a look at this. Humvees. Everybody likes those Humvees. You see them? 22,174 fully equipped Humvees. The what is that? M1117? How do you say it?
1117.
1117, yeah. 634 of those. Mine-proof vehicles, 155, and so forth and so on. 42,000 trucks and SUVs. If you've looked in the newspaper lately and you see how much a truck costs, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a piece.
Some of them, yeah.
42,000. How about over 64,000 machine guns? Now, when we're looking at the weapons there, 358,000 over that, assault rifles, 126,000 pistols, artillery pieces, and they're saying that we, as American citizens, our Second Amendment rights, we should not have.
Wow.
Well,
Imagine that.
I've heard the last of that argument from this administration, that Americans cannot own firearms because they just gave thousands and thousands firearms
20
away
years worth of
to a
equipment
bunch of fanatics
and weapons,
that are
exactly.
terrorists, And Ray, I don't know if you know what a 50 caliber is, but it's a big weapon. They gave 9 million rounds of 50 caliber machine gun rounds. This is amazing.
Yeah.
That thing will clear a forest.
This is clear treason, folks. It truly is. I mean, Reuters just obtained leaked transcripts of Biden's final call to former Afghan President Ghani on July 23rd. Ghani told Biden that the situation was deteriorating rapidly and that the Taliban was gaining strength as the Afghan military is not strong enough to hold the country. Biden then ignored Ghani's pleas and instead asked him to lie. That's right, asked him to lie about the Taliban's strength in order to fool the globalist leaders out there into thinking that everything was under control. Biden then offered Ghani air support and military aid only on the condition that Ghani helps change the, quote, perception and narrative about Afghanistan. Biden says clearly, you have the best military. We have 300,000 well-armed forces versus 70 to 80,000 Taliban fighters. But I really think, and I don't know whether you're aware, just how much the perception around the world is that is looking like a losing proposition, which it is not yet. Okay? So he cared more about the perception of what was happening instead of the reality of what was happening. And again, it gets worse from there. Biden then asks Ghani to put together some kind of, I don't know, warlord propaganda team or something. Biden says, so the conclusion I'm asking you to consider is to bring together a new coalition of leaders, everyone from former VP Abdul Datsam and former President Hamid Karzai. If these leaders stand up, speak out, and back this strategy and put a warrior and military man in charge, this will change the perception and that will change an awful lot, I think, end quote. To which, thankfully, the Afghan president told Biden absolutely not, and likely after that phone call, realized America was waving the white flag in Afghanistan and therefore hightailed it out of the country before he was killed. I can't blame him. So then, Biden was more concerned, again, with perception than the reality, and after Biden failed to convince the former President Ghani into doing this strategy, well, guess what? Mark Milley, the white rage weirdo, who should be ashamed to even wear the
He is a
the
United
uniform.
States General
Yeah.
Chief of
The
Staff.
Yeah.
the one that just woke up.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
put
He's telling
down.
everybody that, he's telling everybody that, our military needs to go through critical race theory training so that we can all eat ice cream together and hold hands.
Mark Milley put down his favorite copy of Mein Kampf long enough to make a phone call back to Ghani, and this is what he said, quote, the perception, once again, in the United States and in Europe and in the media is a narrative of Taliban momentum and even eventual victory. We need to collectively turn this narrative and perception around. Imagine that. It was all politics. They didn't care what was actually going on, and there's much more than that, but I'll let you
Well,
guys
Ray and Josh, over the years, I've noticed one thing. When you watch television and that, especially with the press, they go out and they always say, how do you feel about this? It's all tingly, nice feelings. Instead of reality, they try to live in this gingerbread world. It's just downright disgusting as far as I'm concerned. Give us, we're all adults. Give us the facts, and we'll come up with a process that we can deal with them. That doesn't go on in this administration, especially under Democrats. And once again, this president, especially to our Democrats and our right, well, I'm going to just say that what they are, the never-Trumpers, and those of you that are Democrats, you're responsible for this.
You've got blood on your hands.
You certainly do. Don't think for a moment when you looked at both candidates, you were so stupid that you could not tell that you had a man of honor and a man of low intellect at the very best, if not some mental...
And low integrity as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and low integrity.
We know,
Yeah, exactly.
we know the history.
truth.
What was that?
Ron, Josh, I wanted to get your idea on this. The whole perception, and I heard a little bit of the speech that the Pino did. I believe it was yesterday, right? He came
Pino
back-
is president in name only, once again.
I heard what he was saying, and he says we have to stop this never-ending war. Now, again, that is a narrative that they continue to push, but over the last 18 months or so before this tragedy happened, there were no deaths.
Exactly.
And so I guess the question is, the narrative that says that this is a never-ending war, were we at war or were we there for another purpose?
Well, I think that's a really great question. I mean, look, we don't want to be in a situation where we're just constantly in a war. I mean, this is the longest war in American history, longer than the Vietnam War. But every time we go into these, quote, nation-building types of episodes, all we really should have done was look at what happened to Russia in Afghanistan, and we should have realized way back when that, you know what, we're going to be in the same type of quagmire that they were in at one point. And so when you go into these countries that are literally running on 7th century ideology, you can't change them to the 21st century or even the 20th century.
It's a tribal mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to get bogged down. They're going to hide in the mountains. They have the terrain. They can wait you out. And again, why did we do that? Hopefully, we're going to learn a lesson that the next time there's some type of issue somewhere else, we're not going to go out there and do this anymore. If we have to, yeah, we drop a bunch of mother of all bombs, we do some drone strikes, whatever, but we don't put boots on the ground when we're in a situation where we can't rebuild a country. We can't build their schools and build their hospitals and all that. It's not our responsibility.
Right.
You know, it's interesting because they had the juxtaposition between the Soviet withdrawal and ours. It took the Soviets, and this was before Russia became, the Soviets dissolved. Mm-hmm. So we're really talking about the Soviet Union. 9 months to withdraw, not 2 weeks.
Not 19
9
years.
months.
Or whatever.
And they vowed to take every one of their troops out as well as their friendlies. And the friendlies were the interpreters in that. And when they left, that's the last thing the general said. We have taken all of our troops and all of our friendlies with us.
And our equipment.
And our equipment, and the lights were turned out. That was that.
Yeah.
And
All
we
right.
did not learn from our enemies. That's
No.
the
So
deal
right
out
now, China is going in there.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, we want to be friends with you, we want to help you, but we also want something in exchange. They want their
Precious minerals.
the raw earth minerals,
Raw earth minerals.
so that they can utilize them. So how is it okay now that China's going in there saying, we're going to be friendly to you, but we want something back, but yet we were there for 20 years,
Right.
and we did this out of the goodness of our heart,
Right.
and each taxpayer in the United States was paying for that. How much
Right.
did we spend?
China-
Trillions of
trillions.
dollars?
China's not going to do that, though. China is going to do two things. China is, number one, going to send their best and brightest engineers to take a look at all of the American equipment so that they can reverse engineer the equipment. That's the first thing they're going to do. And the second thing they're going to do is they're going to use what's known as debt trap diplomacy, which is also known as the Belt and Road Initiative, which is a program that China put out in 2013 in which they go into impoverished nations or war-torn nations that they know they don't have any money and they can't build a society. And they go in there and they say, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll build you hospitals, we'll build you roads, we'll build you tunnels, we'll build you, airports and all these other things. And you just sign this, understanding here. And when you can pay us back, you pay us back. And what happens? Debt trap diplomacy. They know that they can't pay them back. So what ends up happening? They end up owning the country. China's been doing that for the last 8, 9, maybe 10 years, and they have 141 or 142 BRIs is what they're called, Belt and Road Initiative programs in 130-something countries.
So give us an idea of some of the countries that
Oh,
they've
so
gone
many.
in and it's worked, and now that they're in such debt,
Yeah.
that they're really
Indonesia, Pakistan, Norway, Iceland, Denmark, so many countries. Bulgaria, they've done it.
it's almost modern day slavery because they're putting them into a position where there is no chance
Correct.
of them ever coming out.
Correct. And they're
It's-
going to
it-
own their assets.
It does
when they can't
amaze
pay it
me,
back.
though, that the leaders of these countries are so stupid, like us. I mean, I don't know how America ever got to be the leader of the world, because some of the leaders that we have had of late have proven to be less than stellar.
Yeah, but this has only happened, what, in the last 50, 60 years?
Well, many years ago, we had good leaders. We had people that loved the country. You know, maybe they had differences of opinion, but they still would never have done, even as bad as Jimmy Carter was, even he likely never would have done what Biden did, which is just left everything and said, sorry, guys, see you later. And the Taliban goes door to door and executes everyone.
You know, and that parade that they had, I don't know if anybody has read about this.
Yeah, so tell us about this. This happened today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, today is a long time ago.
Yeah, really.
There. I mean, it's probably already tomorrow there. But what they did is they decided, gee, we have all this great equipment. Let's have a parade at America's expense. We probably even left the tanks topped off, fuel tanks, and they just had a parade. Look at what we did. We won. We not only won. Look at the spoils of war.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've got what? How much was it, Josh? $68 billion.
$87 billion or something like that.
In American military equipment was left behind. And, you know, I know what's going to happen.
The 14th largest military now.
Next year, of course, they're going to say your taxes have to go up. Well, why? Well, we have a defense budget. We don't have information, materials, and so forth.
So reporting on all of this is so very important. You know, we have people that risk their lives. They go to these countries. They're there with their families. They're living among the people, and they're reporting the news so that we can hear what's going on there. So, Josh, what is happening right now with those reporters that were there in Afghanistan?
Yeah, not only did they leave Americans stranded, but they left their own kind. They left the people that support them, that vote for them. And these are 600 news journalists for left-wing media, Voice of America.
Some people will think that was a
Radio
good
Free
idea.
Europe.
I've left them behind.
Yeah, but you know what? Their family members are also behind as well. And so I bet you 99% of those folks that were left behind, that were told under no circumstances were they going to be left behind. That was the promise from the fraudulent administration. And not only were they left behind, but I bet you 99% of them voted for Biden, which means that on November 3rd, they signed their own death warrants.
You know, I think now, Mr. DeSantis, I think now might be a good time to show the Great Seal of the President of the United States.
Yeah.
It can change a little bit. And this is the seal of the President of the United States. Pino, President and name only.
The pretendency.
Biden. Okay. And if you notice coincidentally, it looks a lot like Biden in the center. And so at any rate, that's what we think of right now is going on in D.C.
There's one more despicable thing, treasonous thing, that I have on here that I want to touch base with you. If all the other things that we talked about don't make you want to gouge out your own eyeballs with an olive fork, this certainly will. According to the former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Western Hemisphere Affairs, big long title, Roger Pardo Moorer, the Department of Defense had foreknowledge, folks, foreknowledge of the Kabul or Kaboom airport suicide bomber, but denied permission to fire a Predator drone, even though it was locked and loaded and ready to go right on the target. You know what that means? That means that they could have stopped the suicide bomber before he killed 13 U.S. service members and close to 200 other people. They had the ability to stop it, and they didn't.
And ladies and gentlemen, in our next segment, we're going to be talking to a Gold Star mother, and we hope it's enlightening, and it probably is going to be a little sad when you think about 13 young people. No, not yet.
Well, no, I was going to say before we roll out.
No, we're not going to do that yet. I just want to let the public notice.
I'm trying to
talk
process.
to a Gold Star mother.
I'm trying to process what you just said. So here is somebody who's been in the administration. I think you said.
Yeah, we have a clip of it. We actually have a clip of the guy saying it.
Okay, let's watch this. This is
only a minute
mind-boggling.
Lo que se está diciendo de gente que participó es que el Departamento de Defensa ya sabía quién iba a poner la bomba y cuándo, y que lo tenían en la mira de un dron, un Predator, ¿ok? Y que se les rehusó dar permiso para matar al que iba a poner esa bomba. Lo pidieron y se negó. ¿Por qué? Porque estamos en este proceso de negociación con los talibanes, que ellos mismos no controlan su propio gobierno ni su propia gente.
Been saved 13 American military personnel and almost 200 people could have been alive today.
Correct.
That to me is
Treason.
nothing more than treason. You cannot
treason.
do that. You cannot do that.
It just
when you're
it saddens me that this man can stand up there and look and read off the teleprompter and be so sincere, and that the people who voted for him, the few that did vote for him, still want to back him, even though all of these things are going on. It's unconscionable. I don't understand it, and I truly want to understand where they're coming from.
Well, I don't know if that tells you about, a lot about the voting public. It does me. And again, we just had people that, I don't like the way Trump says things, so we'll just put some Nimrod in there that,
Yeah.
It is
Unreal.
absolutely amazing. Okay,
Well, Josh, boy, I'll tell you what, you
Yeah,
do
boy.
an extensive amount of research. We really, really appreciate that. And I know we're going to a break right now.
And when we come back, don't go away, because this is really going to be good. We're going to have a Gold Star mother, and her name is Jenny Taylor, and she's got quite the story. And so stay tuned. We'll be right back.